This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
Stick around for a word from today's sponsor, Sheath Underwear. I'm wearing them now. I was wearing them yesterday. I'll be wearing them tomorrow. Maybe too much information, but that's the world we live in. You just got to deal. Stick around, seriously. It's a good one. So let's talk about this. How many times have I talked about the Gallows, the Hangman Gallow that was constructed on the lawn of the Capitol? And I pointed out for years, because many people act like it was just a spontaneous thing that happened, and they just happened to, oh, look at this. Here's some lumber. Here's some nuts and bolts. Here are the plans. We'll just build a Hangman's Gallow on the lawn of the United States Capitol while a mob of misfits is chanting "Hang my pence." And I've pointed out correctly, especially now, I'll toot my own horn here, correctly, that it was not a hastily built thing. It was premeditated. It was meant to strike fear into the hearts of politicians on Capitol Hill who would certify the election, the free and fair and settled American election for President of the United States. They wanted to end democracy, and they were willing to do so with violence. It was premeditated. It was meant to send a message of fear. And what is it? What's it called when you attempt to influence politics through the use of violence? It's called terrorism. And now there is footage through a Republican-led committee that has been released showing individuals who have yet to be indicted, who have yet to be arrested, who have yet to be brought to justice, who carried the implements of their Hangman's Gallow across the lawn of the United States Capitol. And I'm going to play this little news package from CBS News. And I want you to watch, because we're in a tight spot in America. And I want you to pay attention to the lengths that these people will go to insert themselves and their agenda in the body politic in America, but also just how fervent these people are. I mean, coming on the heels of Donald Trump, them trying to play cover up for him saying there's going to be a bloodbath. Well, why would Democrats think that that's just ridiculous? They're taking his words out of context. And then that very day, this footage gets released from Republicans in a committee showing the links to which they will follow their dear leader's orders and bring violence to politics. Watch this from CBS News.
CBS News has obtained surveillance video showing what appears to be people erecting a gallows and a noose, which were seen during January 6th during that attack on the Capitol.
Yeah, this is congressional investigators who released these images. We'll put them up on the screen now. They want to know why no one has been arrested for unlawful assemblage and construction on Capitol grounds. That's the technical violation here. The footage shows a group of people early on the day of the riots entering Union Square Park, and they are seen hauling lumber. Hours before, former President Trump directly told his supporters to march to the Capitol. He said he'd meet them during his rally in Washington.
CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarlane has more from Capitol Hill. Scott, talk to us about exactly what the video reveals.
This is one of those still stubborn mysteries from January 6th. We still don't know who let those pipe bombs on Capitol Hill, and we don't yet have any information about somebody being arrested for the erection of those gallows. That horrifying image on the west front of the U.S. Capitol, the gallows with an orange noose, which is an iconography and an illustration of something that really meant racism and hatred for generations in America. We know from the new video obtained by CBS News, some of the construction of this gallows happened brazenly in the early morning hours of January 6, 2021. The movement of the lumber through iconic streets of Washington, D.C., Independence Avenue, onto the lawn of the Capitol grounds happened in plain sight around the 6 a.m. hour. Then, over the course of the morning, some wood was impaneled on the west front of the Capitol. Then around the 1 p.m. hour, the crossbar and the noose were affixed, according to the Congressional Review. But according to the same Congressional Review, Tony and Lilia, there's been nobody identified as a suspect in this, and our CBS News review of 1,300 or so criminal cases associated with January 6th shows none of the named defendants being linked to this. So 3 years and 2 months later, this remains a transcendent and troubling mystery for all involved.
It's very interesting, Scott. It's also interesting that the potential charge here, as I have it anyway, is unlawful assemblage and construction on the Capitol, as though they were building a mailbox or a spice rack and not a gallows. But maybe there'll be other charges once the individuals are identified. I'm curious what the congressional investigators, in making all this footage public, are hoping to get done. I guess they want tips.
A few different things. I think tips to start. They'd like to resurface this issue to raise awareness of the issue.
Now, the reason that I say that we are in a tight spot in America should be self-evident. One, this is an abject failure on the part of the Justice Department and the FBI, both in the days leading up to the insurrection and what followed. That it took Merrick Garland how many months with a pressure being applied by people in independent media, in regular media, general citizens, members of the Democratic Party who want justice, people who are trying to defend our democracy. It's failure. Widespread, gross failure on the part of authorities who allowed this to take place, allowed men to carry lumber and supplies across the streets in the dark in Washington, D.C., mere hundreds of feet away from the United States Capitol, the sanctuary, the temple of our democracy, and construct a hangman's gallows with which they were very likely to exert violence on elected officials who were there to certify the election. Why have they not been arrested? I mean, the bomber still is loose. The would-be bomber. No bomb was detonated. We are in a danger zone. I mean, we're riding down the street in a hot rod, and it's in the red. I am clumsy at making metaphors, but that is where we are. That our very democracy hangs in the balance, and we have ne'er-do-wells, terrorists, domestic terrorists, who are willing to do this. I was going to say in broad daylight, but it wasn't. They did it under cover of darkness. And they did it at the behest of the man who's now running for president again and saying there's going to be a bloodbath, and it'll be the least of it. It'll be the least of it, a bloodbath. And we know that they know what he's saying. It's not an accident that he picked those words. He wasn't only talking about the auto industry. And if you believe that, you're stupid. If you believe that's the only intent to those words was speaking about the economy and the auto industry, you're stupid. Because we have enough evidence based on the what's the saying about past results are not indicative of future gains or whatever with the economy or with the stock market. I don't know exactly what it is, but we know based on past results, we know based on past behavior, we know with the stand back and stand by Proud Boys who were probably among these people who built the hangman's gallows. So let's not fool ourselves. Let's stop giving Donald Trump and Republicans the benefit of the doubt as though they're acting in good faith and not in a manner that threatens our very democracy, that will foist violence on us again. Not a first time, again. And the FBI, do your job. Find these terrorists. That's why I played it. Again, they ended there talking about the tips. If one of these people looks familiar, if you've heard someone talk, you need to contact the FBI. You need to contact the DOJ. Contact me and I'll go down there. I'll walk the few blocks down to the FBI building and make the report. You can do so in the comments below. You can call 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Give me the tips. Or just call the FBI. If you appreciate what I do and you want to help support this work, I would appreciate it very much. You can click the join button below this video on YouTube. Become a channel member for $2 a month. $2 a month does not sound like a lot. $2 a month by itself is not a lot. But if I'm able to marshal the size of my relatively large audience, and if 10% of people were to give $2 a month, we could fundamentally transform the reach and the width and the breadth and the impact of this program, and you could take part in that. I would appreciate it. Patreon.com/IDoubtIt All those are great ways to help support this work. Follow me on social media. I'm at Dollemore everywhere. I'd love to see you there. And stick around for a word from today's sponsor, Sheath Underwear. We are once again faced with a pivotal year. And while we don't have control over everything, we as individuals can affect real change. Am I talking about voting? Sure, of course I am. But I'm also obviously talking about underwear. In a world so rich with options, why would we ever settle for second-rate skivvies? My 2024 pick for Department of the Interior is Sheath Underwear. Sheath is the only underwear with a dual pouch system scientifically designed to keep your president separated from his cabinet. If you catch my drift. Come on, man. Invented by a U.S. Army veteran while serving a tour in Iraq, the idea from Sheath arose from discomfort in harsh environments. As a former Marine stationed in that part of the world, I get the inspiration. I wear sheaths every day. They're the only boxers that can agreeably accommodate my tree trunk thighs while also keeping my jewels carefully compartmentalized. While I'm not the only person choosing them, sheaths are recommended by multiple doctors and urologists and have over 20,000 five-star reviews. It's time to democratize your drawers. Head to sheathunderwear.com/Dollemore right now and score 20% off right away. I personally am an airflow mesh guy, but Sheath has tons of excellent styles and designs. And once you pick, Sheath will land them on your doorstep near instantly thanks to blindingly fast shipping and amazing customer service. Additionally, your purchase actually does affect positive change. Sheath supports multiple charities like Socks for Soldiers and Doctors Without Borders, so you're making positive choices for the world too. Upgrade your undergarments. Score 20% off right now when you head to sheathunderwear.com/Dollemore. Real change starts with you and your package.